Howdy folks, this is Trader Big T with your trading lesson of today, where we will be discussing live calls made in the Tim Alerts chat room. Wow, what a day. If you haven't joined us in chat, you should. Let's begin. ARQL, this stock just ramped way up, and in fact it consolidated for a few periods. You can see where I'm clicking, and we had another second period of consolidation, and then it just faded, and some famous people on the internet shorted this. I don't completely like this on this initial run up on a stock like this. I prefer, to have some really good signal on a first big day up, like a spike where it fails to retake, and exceed the latest high. And we see we put in an initial high, not too much after the first, 30 minutes or so. And then we put in a second high over here, and then the stock just faded kind of gradually, not something that was really, really blatant and violent. And it worked out, but I would have preferred sometime late in the day, in the afternoon, to get a spike up on some decent volume where it tries to take out this most recent highest high and then fails there. And that would have been, a potential short there. But very interesting is to see these consolidation areas get taken out, gradually as the day went by. And I guess you could have argued that once it took off that for this consolidation area here, you could have went short there, so it would have been a play. Just amazing play. Okay, Vifle, this was actually a potential buy, but as we can see right from the beginning, it tanked, and it just happens that way. You can't predict prices per se, and that's not what your job is as a trader. Your job is to react in real time to live price action, changing conditions on the ground, and to be able to interpret those conditions to make effective decisions. That's something that gets lost on a lot of folks. AEN, this wasn't a real surprise. We were saying that this was really due for a fall, and it kind of fell early on in the day, and rallied a little bit here and came back. So that wasn't real strange. Nanex, you can argue that the news was a little overdone earlier. So it's got another decent up day. So we're still evaluating that. Jada, that was an interesting one. That's just days and days up, and we're just waiting to see this thing get profit took, and it didn't happen until late in the day. And then over here we can see like 1400. That's about like 2 hours before the Eastern close of the market in New York City. That Jada collapsed, and you had some decent volume, and you could have shorted this anticipating this. I just dropped the ball here. I missed this. I'm not even sure if someone alerted it in the main window. I just missed it completely. And I apologize for that one. Okay, SRGL, kept going, so we're still waiting on that. Serve, more serving day. Now, I didn't really have a great interest in this stock. Okay, ENCO, I call this I think this is the light bill play, you might call it. Where it just doesn't seem to be really exciting, but it pans out. And I think on the mailer, on the Tim Alerts mailer, he references this and says if it stayed under this key level that it would have been a short. And it didn't get as much attention now after a few days of its originally great attention, but it pays the rent. Okay. And this one also from the list, the mailer list. This worked out. You're a little eager to short it, but it worked out from the beginning. It gets lost in the shuffle with all these other really good plays. ABio. I want to talk really specifically about ABio because one of the Tim Alerts chat member subscribers made a mistake here. They entered the previous day, and they were in from, I think, like 608, 609. And then when we had this massive spike here on some decent volume where most of the profits were eroded, what happened here was something really instructive. That a lot of amateur traders will call red to green, where the previous close price was taken out from below, where it gets higher on the price, and so it goes positive on the day. And a lot of market makers, some professionals, floor traders, call that the net price. Whether or not a stock is net positive or net negative on a day. And here in ABio, we saw that happened, and when that happened, the trader did not apparently exit the play, but then waited, and things went well because later on they got another chance to get out of this play. But that is an error, and you also have to be careful with your day trades. If you don't have a reserve of day trades to get out of the play, you really should be careful about that. And it's a common mistake if you're undercapitalized to play with on fire by entering some new play, jettisoning it because it doesn't work, and then not having exit flexibility with the stock, not being able to sell a partial on profit taking, for your side, or to exit if you have to in a panic easily. And right here, this was a problem. This move here, it showed that the landscape had changed once it had gone red to green. So they needed to get out of that play. So pretty instructive error. Cirrus. This is another boring, I think, earnings play, and it just didn't work. At least today, it was profit taken, and it just went down. I think it's more like a real stock. So you have to be patient with this, and it's not really surprising that it does this. And in fact, some of these pullbacks, if it stays above certain known support levels that you have anticipated from the initial breakout zone, you can actually do this. You can use this as an ability to enter long. Okay, so, and then Simo looked great. I called this in the chat room live, but, as it went on, it didn't look so darn great, and it kind of collapsed here. That I didn't see coming, because once it really started getting moving here, it looked like it was going to be good, but, in the markets, anything can happen. GNVC, this was the amazing, we hoped would be amazing dead cat bounce play, and it actually did work on some heavy volume. Early in the session, we finally got it on day 2 when it was pretty darn well boring yesterday. And then it faded the rest of the way, and that's expected because most of these dead cat bounces, they end up actually lower over a period of weeks later statistically. It's just you're playing for an initial, a momentum, usually on the first day of the gap down day. Okay, PMI. This was alerted live. This has been on previous watchers a few weeks ago, and it went well. Just straight up most of the day. It's kind of a real stock. You're competing against professionals, but it was definitely playable. Okay, Mise, this was an amazing play, and I think our moderator, Reaper, had hedged this, and I'm not sure how it turned out, but I assume that he must have made something off of this because this was just amazing, and it wasn't really anticipated. It looked like this was very strong price action, indicating an up finish, and Sykes even mentioned this, and it did not turn out that way. Late in the day, when you weren't expecting this huge drop happened, and weakness was suggested from originally strength. So that shows that the experience and to be able to actually adjust the changes does matter. In this case, it was pretty obvious, but definitely Mise, was an amazing play, especially if you're box hedged on your short. Okay, DCTH. DCTH. This is another one I call. This is that FDA influence type of stock, where everybody was gambling on it, and it eventually faded later, but it was very strong early, so that was called live. Overstock.com, I think this is, OSTK. A Reaper just nailed this out of the park. This is a little less risky than your usual crack cocaine, pure momentum scalping long that we often see in the chat room, because it's a real company, and it was on valid earnings news. So when this went, you actually had time. He alerted somewhere in here, 1445, somewhere around here. So you had plenty of time to get far more gravy out of that play. Good job, Michael. Just an amazing play. CDiv, this was also alerted. This was alerted in my watchers and was alerted by Reaper Live. And CDiv, once over like that 50, 51 cents, it started getting off to the races, and that was a clean play, both live and alerted. Okay, folks, we'll see you next time in the trenches as you learn to trade with Big T.